Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to World Knowledge Forum 2025. My name is Francis Han, CEO of Island Invest, and I'm honored to serve as a moderator for today's panel discussion. Our session is titled Scaling Beyond the Borders, the Turkish Startup Ecosystem for Global Investors. This discussion ties directly into the WKF's 2025 theme, New Odyssey, which is about venturing beyond frontiers, geographically, technologically, and strategically. We will explore why Turkey has emerged as a high-velocity scale hub at the crossroads of Europe, MENA, and Central Asia, and what that means for Korean investors. It is my great pleasure to introduce our distinguished panelists, Baris, Özistek, and Cenk, Bayrakdar. Baris is a well-known tech entrepreneur and investor in Turkey. He built and divested several companies, including Joy Game to Netmarble, Korean companies. Today, as CEO and managing partner of Baris Ventures, he focused on gaming, fintech, and AI. He also co-founded Starters Hub, Turkey's first listed accelerator, and has been a key leader in shaping the venture capital and digital startup ecosystem across Turkey and MENA. Cenk is the founding partner of the Rebel Capital, largest tech-focused venture capital in Turkey, with 266 million AUM and 44 portfolio companies such as Getir, Param, and Midas. In 2025, he led the 86 million first closing of the Rebel's 100 million Fund 3, which invested in fintech, SaaS, gaming, cutting-edge sectors with AI as a major driver. Before founding Rebel in 2013, he worked over 13 years in senior leadership at Turkcell. Together, we'll explore Turkey's startup ecosystem, its global scaling strategies, and opportunities for Korea-Turkey collaboration. Let's begin. At first, we'd like to listen to the success story and personal journey of this ecosystem. Baris, and Baris Ventures has positioned itself as a pioneer in disruptive innovation with strong plays in gaming, fintech, and AI. Could you share your success story from Turkey's startup scene?
Yeah, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Our journey started as an entrepreneur, as Francis mentioned. After the exits on 2013 to 15 period, we established Baris Ventures. It just started as a kind of a give back to the community. We wanted to invest as an angel investor to the startups, but we didn't want to be named as the individuals. That's why we created the brand Baris Ventures. But then, to be honest, we loved the investment business. We really like to be part of the journeys of the amazing founders. We can call them disruptors. And also it's really good to be part with different companies, with different technologies, with different startups which are adapting everyday changing life. That's why investment, especially technology-focused investment, became our core business. Starters Hub was one of the initiatives we established as an accelerator. Then we listed it on the stock exchange, and we exited in 5 years' time. Right now, we are a licensed, fully regulated asset manager in Turkey. We have around $200 million AUM, 17 funds running, and over 6,000 qualified investors already invested into our funds. And investors, of course, most of the investors from Turkey, but we see we get investors from Europe, US, Middle East, and Asian countries, Korea, China as well. And our focus is to become the partner of the technology ventures, the disruptors, and carry them not only as a sole financial investor, but help them, accelerate them in their global growth, global scaling journey. Maybe not all of them will be unicorns, but we are hoping all of them to be successful in their businesses. So that's what we did and how we come so far. And by the way, we are celebrating our 10th year anniversary this year.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Next, Cenk. Rebel Capital has been a forefront of the Turkey's venture capital landscape, backing over 40 companies. From your perspective, what are the most promising sectors for global investors, and what successful investment experience has Rebel had before?
So thank you for having us, first of all. We are really happy to be here and tell about the Turkish ecosystem. As for some of the verticals that really stand out in Turkey, I won't mention gaming because Baris is the expert on that one, so he will probably talk a lot about that. But for us, for Revo, a few verticals have been quite successful, and they seem to be very successful in future as well. One of them is fintech. Fintech, the banks are very advanced in Turkey. We have a 85% mobile internet banking penetration, but still we have 20% of the 86 million population underbanked or unbanked. So there's a lot that can be offered by the fintechs, and the regulator is doing very progressive licensing in Turkey, meaning like they do something like front banking or digital banking licenses, so that like very big brand names like, for example, Getir can start its finance business because it already has like 18 million subscribers in the fast delivery business, and then they can start their kind of neo-banking with the new types of licenses that they are receiving. So fintech is definitely one of them. Number two is B2B SaaS is also very progressive in the country, like 3.3 million SMEs. They all require types of services that especially they cannot provide the infrastructure for. So like for stuff like CRMs, ERPs, accounting, all this, also e-invoicing, all these are very important features that they need to establish from the cloud. The third area, once everybody is on the cloud, then lots of cybersecurity problems happen. Cybersecurity is very well developed in Turkey, good cybersecurity companies. So this is an area that we invest as well. One other area is health tech. Turkey is very progressive in medical services. 1.5 million tourists come to Turkey just for medical services every year. And this increases like 15% each year. So, these are mainly for like aesthetics or like hair transplant or like many different stuff. You guys don't have hair problem here, but like in the Western world, there's lots of, yeah. So Turkey is extremely advanced in like fertility, hair transplant, and all that stuff. So, but besides that, there are 103 pharma drug development facilities in Turkey. So with the help of AI, there's a lot of future for these companies. That's why we invest in them as well. Some of the cases that have been quite successful, for example, we are the first investors in Getir. I don't know if you guys heard about them. This is ultra fast delivery company which became a decacorn, then kind of went down, now it's coming back again. And we sold half of our shares at like $7.5 billion. We are the only fund that exited from the company yet. Like Getir Finance, I just mentioned, making use of this new license is now providing lots of fintech services. Another good example would be Yazara. Yazara, again from fintech, provides, it makes any phone a POS machine with MasterCard and Visa approved. So we sold it to Global Payments Systems, which is the largest, second largest POS provider in the world. Also, for example, for a good example for SaaS is Foriba, which is e-invoicing company, which was the largest, which became the largest in Turkey. Then we sold it to Sovos, which is the largest tech rec company in the world. And Sovos made Turkey their also product hub for the whole wide world. So these have been very successful cases. Also also bringing consequential results for the Turkish ecosystem.
Thank you. Thank you very much. But you know that we prepare for another industry section, but you already mentioned all of that. And Baris, you come from strong background in technology entrepreneurship, particularly gaming, with 2 successful exits before, right? Could you share your journey from entrepreneur to venture capitalist, and what motivated the founding of Baris Ventures?
Yeah, of course. As an entrepreneur, you do the all core business, and you should be passionate about your business. But then investing into the other companies is a totally different journey. So you don't do the core business, you don't do a fintech business, you don't do a gaming business, you don't do a digital health business, but you are a part of all of them. So that is the passion, that why we are doing investing business. And when you become successful, when it becomes more and more bigger, more investors, more asset under management, of course you feel the responsibility. It's not easy to sleep while managing other people's money, for sure. But on the other side, doing this as a core business, every day you have another exciting journey, exciting news. Every day you learn something new. That's why, it turned to be from a tech entrepreneur to an investor. That's the journey.
I know, thank you. And Cenk, and one more interesting question. Rebel Capital was the first institutional venture capital in Turkey, right? And backed by IFC, EBRD, TEG, and IEF. How did it come to be? And how has it evolved into the country's largest venture fund?
I used to be the CIO and Chief Product Officer for Turkcell. And so what I was in charge for was like $1.8 billion revenue every year. And one of my, all the services and products were my responsibility. So this is a very tough job, because every 6 months, they expect you to bring at least 2-3 service, and it has to be used by at least 1 million people, and it has to be profitable. So this is very tough after a few years. And what happens is, so I thought I needed the innovation in the whole ecosystem. That's why I tried building a fund for Turkcell. I couldn't achieve. So I went out and started a fund on my own. And very soon, like the Turkish ecosystem has seen, because like I had a lot of business network, and they have seen and invested into Revo, and then some of the investments we have made attracted IFC's and EBRD's attention, and they wanted to co-invest with us. And very soon the fund became $66 million, which was the largest at that time in Turkey. And what we have done was, from day one, we thought we should have a long relationship. And that's why we made them, we have introduced good portfolio companies to our investors, especially IFC and EBRD, and they co-invested with us. So they made good money with like 100% IRR and stuff like that with our fund. That's why from every fund on, they invested bigger and bigger and bigger. And this last fund, they each invested like IFC, EBRD, DEG, they invested like $20 million. And for example, IFC, they helped us, I mean, they wanted us to initiate a co-investment fund for them, and we run it for them. And they put another 20 million and 15 million each fund into that fund, so that it's just for co-investing into our portfolio. So that's what we do with our investors that show interest, so that when they show interest to co-invest, we bring them deals that are going quite well in our portfolio, and we try to put them in. So actually it becomes a lot less risky and much more returns. So I think that has been very, very stable and trustworthy for them. So each fund, they made us bigger and bigger. And in Turkey, currently in this last fund that we did the first close with 86 million, is we have, for example, 2 banks, 6 corporate venture capitals, lots of corporations and high net worth individuals, and plus the DFIs. So I think we learned a lot on the way, and we are trying to make it better and better for our investors.
That's great. He mentioned about the ecosystem of the Turkey market. So let's talk about their ecosystem and growth drivers about that. Baris, how do you assess Turkey's startup ecosystem compared to other markets in Europe and Middle East? And what are the key drivers behind its growth?
Well, of course, I can say many good things about the Turkish tech ecosystem, but let me share you a couple of data, more concrete data. So if you check the global reports, I mean, they are published everywhere with, from many companies, from many report issuers. What you'll see is very unstable data. Not only for Turkey, for many ecosystems. Sometimes you see the rankings of the countries, sometimes you see the rankings of the cities, and they all give different data. So in some report, an ecosystem looks very good, in another report, just the opposite. And it happens a lot for Turkey. And under Turkey, we have 3 major cities: Istanbul, Ankara, Izmir. So it happens a lot for these cities as well. That's why we decided to prepare a report together with one of the most reputable NGOs. And in the report, we just focused on the EMEA region, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And in the EMEA region, we checked 400 data points from all over global data, global reports. We consolidated them in 3 verticals. So these 3 verticals is the most crucial verticals for a startup to be successful. First, the global base, to establish your tech company and scale it in the domestic market, because the question is, does domestic market is large enough to scale your product, to test your product, to polish your product before going to global? So that's the first category. The second category if the local base, the domestic country, gives the startup, gives the tech company enough support or a base power to scale to global. And the third category, the ideal conditions to develop, to form a deep tech startup. So these are the three categories, all these 400 data consolidated. And at the result, it's a pretty long report, so I'll not explain all the data here, but at the end of the day, according to these three categories, Turkey is ranked in the top 10 in Europe, Middle East, and Africa region. So when you look to Turkey, when you consider investing in Turkey, by nature, you should compare. You compare with the competing countries of Turkey. They are some of them in Europe, some of them in Middle East, some of them in Africa. So, by the way, we are just in the middle. If you check the map, we are literally in the middle. From Turkey to London, from Turkey to Dubai is 4 hours flying distance. So we are ranked in top 10 among all categories. In addition to that, if you check the entrepreneurial activity, Turkey is ranked number 1 among all EMEA region. So, of course, there are lots of data supporting why these numbers occur like this. Main driving factor is the development power. Turkey has a huge technology development power. We have the developers. We have a creative power. We have the talented workforce. We have the hard worker people and good market scale enough to allow you to polish your product with reasonable costs. And on top of it, especially it's affecting by some industries like gaming, there's a huge government support. So I like to categorize the government support into one major support is the tax advantage. I can clearly say Turkey is a tax haven. So Turkey is not recognized as a tax haven globally, but it is tax haven for tech companies. If you are a tech company, you don't pay corporate tax, you don't pay VAT, you don't pay income tax on your employee salaries. So you just pay net salary and there is no capital gain tax. So that's literally tax haven for tech companies. On top of it, if you are a game company, if you are an app developer or a B2B SaaS company, whenever you spend marketing, 60% of the marketing spend is covered by the government. Of course, there is a limit, which is $300,000 per application. That means, let's say, if you have 10 casual games scaling globally, you can get $3 million a year from the government just as a marketing support. So these are the several driving factors why it is one of the ideal location in EMEA region, and it shows why we are growing quite fast, especially in some tech verticals.
Yes, thank you. Already mentioned, Baris mentioned about so many kind of driving force of the Turkey, but I think Cenk has another opinion about that. Turkey has become one of the fastest growing startup ecosystem in EMEA. It's the first time to listen to the EMEA, but you are focusing on that. What are the main factors driving transformation, and what are today's strengths and challenges? Especially, he already mentioned about the strengths. What about the challenges?
I will just add one more thing because I think he summarized them very well. One of the things that I think Turkey really stands out for is that lately, last 4 years, Turkey came up with this startup investment fund structure that is totally tax-free for its investors. I think this helped a lot, and this attracted lots of people investing into these structures so that there is money for the seed stage. And when there's money for the seed stage, a lot of good ideas kind of found good base so that they could be developed. I think this could be a good addition to Baris, and I agree with all the things he has said, especially on the technoparks, incentives, this is second to none in the world. I mean, there's no other country that's giving all these benefits. So even though I will tell in further questions, even though you can move your company or a foreign company that kind of has their marketing and sales elsewhere, if they have their product development in Turkey, they can utilize all these incentives. So it becomes a lot cheaper. For example, a Korean company can do their development in Turkey, and it can become very, very like convenient for them financially. As for the challenges, I think the biggest challenge for Turkey would be, like we talked about, this tax-free structure for funds. But the next stage, Series A stage, Series B stage, we don't have enough funding. Meaning that, for example, in Turkey, we have 11,000 startups at the moment. And every year we have 1,000 more. Only 300 get funded for seed stage, but only 9 get funded for Series A. So 11,000, 9 gets funded for Series A. So that gap is a little too much. So we need to have more funds like Revo, because we invest in Series A and B, to be active in the region and especially in Turkey.
That's a common question relating to that. What gives Turkey entrepreneurs and teams a competitive edge globally? And where do you see the biggest strengths in talent? Oh, that's a common question. Anybody can. Yeah.
Actually, one of the things I like about Turkish is that, like, we take our companies to US mainly, like marketing and sales to US. We also take the founder to US. For example, if he says, "Oh, I just had a child, only Turkey is enough for me," then we don't invest. A little tough, because we want that ambition. One thing which is very standing out for Turkish founders is that they can adapt very easily. For example, we also invest in Central Eastern Europe. I had a lot of hard time trying to take, for example, let's not give a Baltic founder to US. I couldn't do it for 3 years because he was very he was very high qualified, but he was very humble, and he really didn't want to change his country. He didn't want to move on to US. So it could never happen because it was definitely a US product. However, for Turkish founders, I think their adaptation rate is very high. They can easily go and blend with the country that they have gone to. I think that's a big plus. The second thing, we are hungry for success and reputation. I mean, I think Turkish people especially, we want to kind of prove ourselves. And I think in the modern world today, the way to prove yourself is being good in a business. So that's why I think this mentality, very strong in every Turk, is helping Turkish startups a lot.
I would also not add, but just consolidate these strengths with one word, business innovation. I believe Turkish founders are really good at business innovation. So what I mean is Turkish founders know how to earn money, because the financial resources are limited in Turkey. So if you compare with the Korean venture capital private equity ecosystem and the Turkish one, yes, our financial resources are very limited. But with these limited resources, very successful companies are coming from that ecosystem, because their focus is how to generate profit as soon as possible, how to convert the users, how to convert the business to revenue and profit. That is the focus. When you go to US, their focus is more growth. Even if it's loss making, more growth. But when you come to Turkey, the focus is pure profit, sustainability, resilient companies, but you need business innovation for that. And it affects most of the businesses. Even gaming, it affected a lot.
Thanks to that kind of Turkey and people's talent and then government support, there are many unicorns recently. In the next 10 years, how many unicorns do you think come from Turkey and which sectors? And then beside the fintech gaming, what new or hidden sectors should global investors pay attention to? To pose a common question.
Well, in my opinion, in the next 10 years, I'm sure there will be more than 10 additional unicorns. So at least once a year. Yeah, unicorn became kind of a badge in the ecosystem. It proves how successful it is. But yeah, there are many companies coming, growing very fast. So we'll see many more in the next 10 years. Yeah, gaming will keep growing. There are really strong areas and reasons behind fintech, obviously. But I expect especially industrial tech will grow because we have a huge already installed manufacturing capacity from chemical to automotive. Now, already we have thousands of companies providing service technology to these industries, but their focus was not global. Their focus was just to provide service in the local domestic market. And most of the venture capitals, most of the funds, primary focus was more trendy or fast-growing areas like gaming, fintech, retail tech. But now there's we see that these companies focus turn to global, and our focus, the investors' focus, also turn to these companies. So that will be the next area, in my opinion. Very successful companies, unicorns, we will have.
Thank you. What about Cenk?
Turkey has a program, Turkon 100. So like by 2030, they have the ambition to have like 100 unicorns. As for my idea, probably like from the 11,000 startups, the ones that are funneled down and well invested, I think we will have at least 10 unicorns in the next 10 years easily. We currently have 6, I think. And the new areas is, besides the ones we talked, I think energy, and also like, especially I would like to underline cybersecurity are some of the good areas.
Thank you. Already you mentioned that other sectors could be better than before, but two of you are very successful experience in the gaming and then the fintech, right? So, Baris, and considering Korea's global leadership in gaming, how do you see Turkey's gaming sector evolving with global players and with AI rising? How are Turkey companies adapting, and what role is Baris Ventures playing, like a BV AI summit?
So I was in the gaming industry, like I am in the gaming industry since more than 15 years. And at the time, like 2011, 12, it was impossible for Turkish game companies to compete with the Korea ecosystem. Because the fact was you needed huge amount of resource, talent, to develop good games. The production cost was enormous, and you needed a huge experience to develop a competing game. So that was the time of PC. Then we had the shift to mobile. When the shift to mobile came, it was a huge opportunity for the new startups. That is the time actually Turkish ecosystem entered, because as mentioned, Turkish founders know how to innovate business. So they know how to compete. They understood that they can compete with casual gaming because it requires low development power. They understood mobile gaming is the opportunity because in PC you need huge amount of resource, but in mobile it was not. So that's the time Turkish companies started to grow, and in the last 10 years, yeah, we see that enormous growth. Right now, still Korea is very good superpower in gaming, especially in some verticals like MMORPG. But on the other side, in casual gaming, I believe now Turkey is a superpower. We have 2 unicorns in casual games. We are dominating the casual game market. The number 1 game generating over $1 billion is a Turkish company, Royal Match, Dream Games. So as you look in that perspective globally, in my opinion, Korea is a superpower in MMORPG, Turkey casual. So in 10 years, almost from scratch, from zero, we reach such a position. And now coming to AI, AI is also helping a lot to the Turkish companies because our muscles, our ability is development with limited resources. Now AI helping a lot more because we don't need that many developers anymore. So a casual company developing a game with 20-25 people, maybe using 7-8 developers. Now today they are using 3-4 developers. They need less art people. So instead of 25 people, now single digit startups can compete on the global arena. So that's a very important shift. And they are integrating AI very quickly because we are used to do development with limited power. And as Boğaziçi Ventures, we are trying to create a bridge, build a bridge in the AI ecosystem because, yes, again, Turkey is not developing core AI technology, but really good at using AI, leveraging AI, and disrupting other industries. And we do every year AI summits. By the way, everyone is invited. The next summit will be on October 2nd. We are bringing many ecosystem partners.
Thank you so much. We have a lot of questions about that, but I think I have to give you the time to introduce your fund, especially raising fund. Because of that, I cut that all of it. I will ask you, 2 of you, and both Rebel Capital and Boğaziçi Ventures are raising new fund, right, recently. Then what is the strategic focus, and then what's the strategies, and then and makes them unique for investors? Both of you are answer about that. But you know that we don't have enough time, so tell me shortly.
So we are raising our 3rd fund, and we had our first close at 86 million. This fund is going to be, it's targeting 100 million with a cap at 150 million. We will be investing in the areas that we talked about, actually. Lots of fintech. We are the largest fintech investor. B2B SaaS, cybersecurity, health IT, energy, and gaming. One thing which will be very special about this fund is that it's definitely a Series A and B investor, which is the gap in Turkey. There are not many investors, almost no investors in that region. So we will be mainly focusing on Series A and B, but meanwhile, with only 5% of the fund, we will do a seed pocket. So sometimes this happens, this started happening a lot in Turkey, actually, not sometimes. So when a company grows really fast, a US or a UK fund comes over, takes the whole round, so you are left out if you are a Series A investor. So in order to have our foot in the door, we will have a small seed pocket, only with 5% of the fund. We will do 15 investments, each $250K tickets. And in the Series A and B part, we will do another 15 investments. We will also have like some opportunity for pro rata from Fund 2. If the Fund 2 doesn't have any money left, with only 10% of the fund, we will use those rights for the Fund 3 in this new fund. This will be a Turkish diaspora, meaning Turks in Turkey, UK, or Europe, investing into Turkish diaspora, Turkish companies, and also CEE region investing into those startups. That's pretty much it. I think.
Sorry. Then next to Baris.
Yeah. So our next fund is totally AI focused, investing into early to growth stage AI companies. So it's sector agnostic. Of course, we are investing into the areas mostly where Turkey is strong, such as gaming, fintech, mobile applications, digital health. But our main focus in that fund is if a company, if a startup use AI, leverage AI to disrupt different industries, then we are the investor in that fund. That is our first rule. And we take lead position at early to growth stage, and we bring co-investors from the global, and also the advisory board members, which are the major LPs in our fund. They are also co-investors. So we lead the deal, but we create a deal flow for all our major investors as well. And the mandate of the fund is 70% Turkey, 30% Korea. So these two countries is our focus, because we believe Turkish companies are very good at developing the product technology. They scale, especially in the West, very successfully, but they tackle a lot in Asian markets. On the other side, we see lots of innovation in Korea. Most of the companies are super strong in Asia, but most of them also tackle a lot while scaling in the Western markets. So we believe we can play a bridge role between two countries, and we can help the companies, we can help the startups to accelerate really globally, not only in Asia, not only in the Western markets. So that is, by the way, the fun part, the part that we really enjoy, not only putting money, we also help companies to accelerate. That is our mandate in that fund.
Thank you. You know that today we heard about the very valuable insight from the two panelists, how Korea, Turkey can collaborate more deeply in venture investment and innovation, leveraging complementary strengths to create innovative projects and sustainable growth, providing practical takeaway and clear next steps for fostering meaningful partnership and expanding global business network. Anyway, from now on, we make a strong and a robust relationship together, and then soon we hope to see their get a lot of money together in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please give them a big round of applause.